Good evening. This is
Hello,
Adam.
how are you guys?
Hey.
Hi, this is Ty, and we're doing a live chat on our book 2021 Unlock Your Blessings. And tonight's discussion, we have on here Adam Torres and Annalise Cooper, and we wanted to discuss the different forms of complaining. And personally, I've had discussions with both, and they came up with amazing results of what is complaining. So, who wants to take it first?
Um,
What
I'll
kind of
take it.
complaining was that again?
I'll take it.
Okay, go ahead, Annalise.
So, are we just going back on what we spoke about, or do you have any specific?
Well, no, yeah, what we spoke about. The different forms of complaining, because there are different forms.
Well, the different forms of complaining for me personally would be materialistically complaining, like complaining about things that are right in front of you, but obviously replaceable. So that kind of complaining really like gets me. I just can't understand the people who do it. I can't understand why they do it. But that's one of the forms of complaining that I've always stayed away from. But I have complained. Let's see, like the other forms of complaining. A complaint I would make would be, if I have a series of unfortunate events, I can complain, or I can just know that, after these unfortunate events, then my luck will get better and blessings will come my way. So those are just two that I can think of, just kind of like situational complaining and material complaining.
Wow, awesome. Very, very powerful. And welcome. We have Jordan Cooper also on the line. So we can start with the next person. Adam, did you want to talk about anything that you discovered with the different forms of complaining?
Yeah, I want to agree with Annalise and elaborate on my experience with situational complaining. Such as if like I had a hard day at work the day before, and I come back and I start to complain like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to work just because I had a hard day. So I feel like our experiences, what's the word? They
cause a reaction.
Yes, they cause a reaction for our future experiences, and then that leads to a complaint for something that hasn't even happened yet, or something that's going to happen. So I experience situational complaining very frequent, but me knowing what I'm complaining about, I'm able to replace that complaint with something that's different. Instead of me complaining about it, I go in with a positive mind or optimistic mindset, where instead of, oh, I don't want to do this, I say, what can I do that's going to help me do it better?
Oh, the complaining about other people too.
Exactly. Yes.
That kind of I've never really understood that, because I just see people. I accept them for who they are, and I basically, learn their personality types, and I have kids. So like, what if my kids turn out to be anything like that personality type that I'm trying to avoid, or I'm trying to, complain about? What if what if that's my destiny? So I like to treat everybody, not complain about anybody, because you never really know what somebody's going through. So it's just a human, be more like in tune with everybody is only human, in order to not complain about people.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I find that sometimes that when I sigh, and I'm like, I evaluate, why did I just sigh? And this brought it out. It's like, well, I don't feel like doing it right now. And I try to hide the fact that I'm complaining, but I am complaining. So, and I have learned to hide my complaints, and it's like an internal complaint, which is no different than externally complaining.
Mm-hmm.
So when I sigh, I'm like, you're complaining again. Like, you don't want to do, I don't want to do it right now, but I have to do it right now because it's my responsibility. So I cover it up with a sigh, and it could be an ever so slight sigh, where I only hear it myself.
Right.
However, it is a form of complaining, and if it's something that is my responsibility to do right now, it's for a reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, my silence, I've learned to not complain, and I've practiced not complaining. However, I am really concentrating on it now and conscientiously realizing that I still complain.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to clean it up.
Complain about complaining.
I have to clean it
Cancel
up.
each other out.
I can't complain. Just because I'm not externally verbally complaining, it doesn't mean that I don't have that complaint inside my heart still.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a wake-up call. Even the first couple of days for me was, why am I sighing? I hear myself sigh. And it even happened today a couple of times, just a little aggravation. Instead of stepping back and not reacting, I should just step back and evaluate the situation
And figure out your reaction.
and figure out, yes, because like Adam said, it's like sometimes it's a hard day. Go ahead, Ed.
If you say it like that, then complaining is probably just a natural way of life. We all, are born with that innate ability to complain. There's possibly a constructive way to complain about certain situations that make you, do things differently.
Yeah, I think
do
that
things
way
better.
would be to see things as fixable. Everything.
Exactly.
Everything and anything.
But it's that complaint that leads you to that thought.
A person, a material object, a situation. I really think that my happiness comes from solving problems, really. So, in a situation where I could complain, instead I solve a problem.
But what if you were complaining about that problem, which made you realize what the problem even is?
Well, no, I mean, I'm talking about more sudden, sudden things.
Okay.
I'm talking about something that can cause you to complain immediately.
Yeah.
Maybe not something that you look at every day.
That's what I'm referring to. I'm saying, like, for example, the house is dirty.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's not a complaint
about it. If there's no complaint, the house isn't going to get clean.
But is that a complaint, or is that just a realization?
But like,
that's a realization.
So if it's either like, I do get what Adam's saying a little bit, whereas
Me too.
Like, you got to see that there's a problem in order to fix a problem.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you're complaining about it. That just means you're solving a problem.
Well, what I'm saying is, there's moderation to it. You can go on complaining and nothing will get done. But after that initial complaint, or somebody is complaining, and then you realize what they're complaining about, and you have the ability to change what they're complaining about, or if you're a business owner and you're getting multiple complaints from different customers about certain things, you're going to get to the bottom of that. You're going to get to the root of that, and you're going to change whatever the complaint is about. And I feel like that's something that we all are doing, within, is when we complain, either we'll keep going on complaining until we get tired of our own selves complaining, and then we change what our complaint is about.
And I even feel that if somebody's in the room with me and they're a constant complainer, I can feel their vibes. Which and I try to deflect it as much as possible, or I get out of the room. But it's, I think, recognizing an issue and trying to fix it is a little different than just complaining. We may just have a shock moment, like you said earlier, like the house. You come home and the house is a mess. that may be a shock moment to realize that, okay, how do I fix this right away? Because if you don't, or you can sit down on the couch and sulk, saying, I don't feel like doing this. I think that's the fine line between complaining and taking action, like Annalyse was saying. How do I fix this? Because I think complaining leads to more complaining and more heartache.
Definitely.
It depends. It depends if you're a doer or a thinker. You know, I feel like the thinkers complain the most. But if you complain around a doer, you know, the doer is going to find a solution or find something to do about the complaint.
Yeah.
You know, it goes back to what Annalise was talking about with personality types. You know, some people don't have, you know, the want or the will to do anything, so they'll go on complaining, and then, you know, you'll come around those people who are just constantly doing things. They just want to get something done, you know. So with those people, with even the smallest complaint, they'll do something about it.
Right.
You know,
right.
Inward or outward. You know.
Right.
They don't
Well,
let
if
the
I
complaint
find that somebody's like complaining too much, like I don't like, I just straight up, you're complaining way too much. Do you know that?
You just point it out. You tell it how it is.
Do you understand? Right. Because at the end of the day, like, if I can say that and sound mean, maybe to some other people, and to some other people it might help them. It might shed some light.
You know, and I find that, if I complain too much, it doesn't fix anything. It's just me sounding off and, you know, getting on my own nerves. But in you know, in hindsight, those complaints didn't fix anything.
No.
And then I feel terrible. And then I have to, you know, go to bed at night, you know, reflect on the day, and then wake up and, you know, my saying is, you know, happy new day, or, you know, today's a whole new day with no mistakes, and, you know, start over again. But, you know, if I find myself complaining or picking at something that went wrong instead of just fixing it, then, you know, it tears me down spiritually.
Yeah.
Instead of just
then it'll most likely lead to another complaint.
And it most likely leads to another complaint, and it goes on all day long.
Yeah.
Once I start
you break that cycle.
Yeah. Once I start in that complaining cycle, it goes all day long.
Yes, I do. I have experience with that. I feel like we all have experience with, you know, the different forms of complaining. You know,
I feel like also there's another form of complaining. It's physically complaining. Like, you're physical. When I'm sick, I complain. I complain because it's so off from how I normally feel good that it's 100% a shock to my body and my mind, and it's hard to you know, feel better like kind of naturally without much medicine, if any. So that's when I'm complaining. But there's some people out there that they still take medicine and still, you know, fix themselves up, and then they complain. So it's like physical complaining.
Right, and that can be a vicious cycle, or just wanting to get attention, which makes you feel better.
Yes. I feel like that is another form of complaining, just wanting the attention, so you complain a little more, you know, just for somebody to recognize, you know, the state of being you're in. And it's just attention seeking, honestly, at that point.
Or maybe reaching out even.
Yes.
Or complaining, I feel like, can be a form of like maybe social awkwardness, or like sarcasm or something. When somebody really has something to say, so they'll kind of candy coat the complaint a little bit.
Sarcasm definitely in my book would be, yes, that would definitely be complaining.
Yeah, that's complaining.
Complaining. Because what I found is another form of complaining is judging your beliefs against someone else. Then verbally having a sarcastic remark, which is complaining. Which is complaining, and it doesn't make you feel any better.
No.
Yeah, that's definitely an all around toxic way to complaining. I feel like there's two sides of complaining, because complaining isn't, you could be good or bad. It can be constructive and it can be toxic.
Yeah.
In the sense of Annalise was saying, being sick and you start complaining, you're gonna, if somebody's around you taking care of you, then they're gonna come and be at your aid. So I mean, that's constructive in my sense. Now, if you're
Mhm.
just, you have an argument, or you're having a discussion and you have a disagreement, which leads to an argument, and then the other person starts complaining about this person and that person, and that's just very toxic,
Mhm.
all around. So I feel like there are, two sides of complaining. It's just our reactions to the complaint. Either you can keep on complaining, or you can do something about what the complaint is about.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm always afraid to complain now because if there's an action that's taken place because I complain. Let's say that I'm waiting in line at a light, and I'm beeping the horn, complaining because the other person is not going fast enough. But yet, there's powers in the universe. What if a speeding car is running a red light and it's just not my turn?
Mhm.
So I'm afraid that my complaining is going to push me into a situation where it's just not my turn to do it yet.
Yep.
And
it
yeah, and there's
usually
the
leads
people who
to
complain their
aggression.
way into a fake resolution or sped up resolution, and it's just awkward. It's awkward to watch. It's awkward to
Yeah.
be in.
The people, we were just talking about this the other day. You have somebody who passes you on the street, and you will both meet up to the same red light.
Mhm.
It's, you were in a rush for no reason. You were complaining about somebody going slow, but you're getting to the same place at the same time.
At the
Mhm.
same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel like some complaints, and especially like complaints if you're on the road, lead to an aggressional state where it's toxic. It's toxic for yourself, and it's toxic for everybody else who's on the road, and you never know what could happen.
And it has lasting effects. When you
Yes, it
have an
does.
episode like that because you complain, then it lasts with you for the whole day because you'll complain about that episode.
No,
You'll tell everybody.
I feel like like Adam said. I'm just circling back in my head, and I feel like what Adam said earlier makes more sense to me now. That me even saying that you're complaining too much is complaining about that person complaining too much. So in a sense, I would take all complaints into consideration if they're not material.
Yeah.
If they're about me, maybe. If somebody's complaining about me, I'm taking that in a full consideration, and I'm looking at my accountability, and I'm looking at myself,
Exactly.
and I'm
Exactly.
wondering, wow, did I? Am I? Can I?
Yep.
And
So yeah, so you complaining about somebody else complaining is a complaint. That's something.
no,
Yep.
I mean, like when if somebody complains about me, then
Yeah.
like that's what I'm saying. Like some complaints, I feel like just are really definitely needed because.
And that goes back to what I was saying about the thinkers and the doers.
Mhm.
Is you can complain about somebody, and if that complaint gets back to them, they'll get mad, aggressive, and they'll just constantly think about what's it. Or you'll have somebody who takes it as constructive criticism.
Oh yeah, that's me. If somebody complains about me, I'm taking it in a full consideration. I like to be fully aware and accountable of myself. So,
Mhm.
and then I also like to do that for other people too. So if I say something to you or about you or something, it's out of like it's a form of complaint. Yes, it is, but it
But
is
it's
out of
out
the
of
kindness of my
concern.
heart to see if maybe you can
Yeah.
try to better yourself.
But I think we're mixing up other emotions with complaining. I think
I think
complaining is
complaining
I
goes
think
like all all like the main emotions.
but I think complaining, constructive criticism is not complaining, especially if you address a
No,
person that's yeah.
I'm saying taking the complaint as a constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't even saying anything unless you were saying it for as a critic. That's what a critic is. They're giving you their opinion. Either they can complain about it, or they can give you praise about it.
Right. But I think complaining is an individual act, that if we complain, then we destroy ourselves. Us complaining. It's an individual act. I think that's what we have to focus on.
I think maybe
is when we complain ourselves, not when we complain about somebody else or we worry about somebody else's complaints. But if we are always complaining, then we are blocking our receptors to the blessings, because we're stuck in that steady state of complaint. Like Adam was saying earlier, you know, I'm complaining today about yesterday's job. Now I'm complaining today, and I'm recreating that I'm recreating that day in my head. Now I'm not gonna. It's a cycle. Yes, that's more. I think, you know, what we're talking about. Do not complain about anything. Yeah.
But what I was basically getting at is there could be constructive complaining, and there can be destructive complaining. You know?
Yeah, like some people in my life have helped me realize that I have bad habits from complaining about me and them.
Right. If you're awake to the fact that, yeah, I mean, that's a rare thing, because you could take it badly, or you could take many years before you could become aware that, you know, they're complaining about you helped you, but they're probably complaining about you wasn't to help you at that moment.
It might have been, because if I were to say something to somebody, it's out of the kindness of my heart to try to help them better themselves.
I get exactly where you're coming from, Mom. You're saying that
it might take a long time. It depends on the type of person you are.
Yeah. So when people are complaining, they usually don't know that they're complaining. You know, it's the awareness behind the complaint that, you know, that gives you the ability to choose whether or not to complain.
Or choose whether or not to take things that you receive around you as a complaint or not.
Well, that's like a whole different subject. I think it's what we react to, is what our reaction is as of the complaining. You know, we had a series of events at work today, and I had to consciously step back, because I felt myself going into that complaining mode. And instead of that complaining mode, it was almost like, you know, whack-a-mole. I just like would whack it and it was done. Whack it and it was done. Whack it. But I can feel myself wanting to complain, you know, picking up the phone and saying, well, why did you do that? I don't like this. You know what I mean? My opinion. But instead, I said, okay, let me step back. Let's fix this instead. Like you were saying earlier. Because then today would have been a really bad day if I would have taken all the events of today and made a complaint out of them.
And yeah, I would have a really bad couple of weeks, because my unfortunate events have been lasting for a couple of weeks now, and I have not complained, not once, unless it was maybe a physical ailment. But other than that, you know, I'm a plumber now. You know,
You've learned.
I'm a dog groomer now.
Wow.
What other unfortunate events? Well, I can't fix my car, but you know, it's material and everybody was safe from the little fender bender. You know, my phone's cracked, but I can still use it. So
Right.
So all these unfortunate events that have been happening to me, they taught me a lot right there, because I don't really see a lot of things happening to me like that. I feel like when you stop complaining, all the bad things just come pouring in, and then it's a test for you, because you actually notice these bad things instead of complaining about them.
Right.
Kind of like you're ignoring the situation when you're complaining, almost.
Yeah. That'll scare people away from what not to complain, because now they're noticing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same event. However, our coping mechanism was complaining, where now the coping mechanism is, okay, how do I fix this and learn something?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't practicing that before when I thought I was. I thought I was not complaining.
That's what I was saying too. I thought I was not complaining as well. Until I started really conscientiously looking at each episode and catching myself saying, okay, now I'm in my 21 days of practice. And boy, did I shock myself, because
it's like being aware of what you're about to complain about, instead of saying, I'm not complaining, and you just huffed and puffed. No, you're
Yeah.
you're affirming something that you want, you know.
Yeah.
Affirming is, I am not complaining, but actually to not complain is just to be aware of
Right.
your reaction. So,
Right.
Yes.
because to say not in this universe is the opposite,
Yes.
I
Yes.
am complaining
And
is what
this is
you're
what we
saying.
were discussing earlier with the with anti anything, or when you're against something, it's you're bound to complain when you disagree,
Mm-hmm.
and when you disagree with yourself or the situation or anything, it forms naturally. When you're in a situation and you don't want to be in it, I mean, that's a complaint in itself. I don't
Right.
want to be there. It's a complaint.
Oh wow. That's a
I mean,
that's a
technically,
deep one. Yeah.
you want to be there, you want to complain.
Exactly.
If you didn't want to be there, you would get
You
out of
want to
that
be there to
situation.
complain.
You would have been
Right.
out of that
Oh, that's
situation.
vicious cycle. That's a vicious cycle. Oh my goodness. Because you
Mhm.
wouldn't have anything to complain about, which is what's feeding your ego in the first place.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Say, I am not complaining. Yes, you are. Because if anybody, that's what you have to be careful. You have to be careful when you say not, I am not, or I do not
Yes.
want.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
because people who know, they know
Right.
what you're really saying. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. All
Mhm.
right. Well, this went a little longer than I anticipated. So I know you guys have busy schedules. So I'm going to let you go. You both go. And then maybe in a couple of days, we'll check back to see, what our progress is. And if you want to talk about a specific not complaining, that would be awesome.
Okay.
And or you can just leave messages as you think of things. But this is great. And I know it's really been a blessing in my life. I don't know about you too, but it's been a blessing in my life because today was actually a beautifully pleasant day and there was a lot of events, but it was still a beautiful day, and I didn't miss that day. I didn't miss today in complaints. So,
yeah, you will skip a whole day with complaining.
Yes.
That day will be gone. That deal. What happened yesterday?
Yeah.
Your trauma receptors in your head would probably just block the whole day out.
Yes. Yeah, right.
Because the way you took it, not because of what happened, because the way you processed
Exactly.
it.
And only today matters. And can you imagine it being the last day and you just wasted it by complaining?
Oh no.
Oh wow, that was deep, Annalise.
Yeah.
Wow, that was deep. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, well, thank you guys. And then I know Jordan, she dropped off, so I didn't know, if she wants to. Why did she drop off?
She just wanted to listen at the moment. She wasn't. She was on her way out the door. So.
Okay.
Just,
Well, maybe she can join us.
I just want to share this before we go. One of my biggest tools to help me from complaining is music, and my favorite genre to go to make me feel good is gospel or just any kind of church music in general. And there's one song that is perfect for this topic, and it's called "I Won't Complain" by Reverend, what's his name? Reverend Paul Jones.
And that was a beautiful song. Thank you for sharing that with me yesterday. And it was definitely a beautiful song.
Nice. Yeah. So when I complain too much, it gives me anxiety. So I play music. I make my music.
There you go. Music is the best tool to get you out of any situation.
Oh,
it's the best.
It's the best therapy too. It really is.
The sound frequencies is beautiful. Yeah.
The rhythm that you're making in your own, it's amazing. Yeah.
We'll have to set up a topic for that, or we'll set up a podcast for that topic.
Yeah, I think the next subject is, when we stop complaining, what do we fill it up with? And I think we had that discussion, Nad, right?
Yeah.
We have to fill it up with something positive in order for it to stick, so that we don't.
Gratitude is my
that's a good point. I filled mine up with just pure love. Like everything I do is out of love. Like no,
there you go.
Like I was telling Adam before, I was telling him like no, I have no fears, so I'm able to love fully. And
yeah,
and that's
Yeah, then we're going to discuss that next time, what we fill it up with. You know, when we stop complaining, what do we replace it with? So, you know, that's for all of us to discuss next time.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you guys, and have a great night. All right.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye now.
All right. Bye.